Jeff Gordon wins the inaugural Brickyard 400. Dale Earnhardt wins the Brickyard 400.
Dale Jarrett will win. And here comes Ricky Rudd to win it.
Jeff Gordon in victory lane. Second victory in the Brickyard 400.
Bobby Labonte is the bridesmaid no more at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Bill Elliott, the winner at the Brickyard.
Kevin Harvick wins the Brickyard 400 at the Brickyard 400. Tony Stewart, a native Hoosier, his dream comes true. Jimmie Johnson wins the Allstate 400. Indiana's favorite son does it again. Tony Stewart will take the checkered flag. Jimmie Johnson will capture his second Allstate 400.
NASCAR is racing in Las Vegas this weekend, so obviously many of the drivers could not attend tonight's event. We did, however, record an interview with Tony Stewart, Jimmie Johnson, and Jeff Gordon earlier today. Well, first of all, let me say that it is really nice of you guys to take time out of your schedule to be with us as we continue or actually start the Centennial celebration. Jeff, I want to start with you. Now, some people have said that your win here at the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard in 1994 was almost too perfect, that it was just a Cinderella story. As it unfolded during the race, were you feeling that emotion?
Absolutely. It's still to this day one of the most incredible days of my life. And if anybody ever asked me, excuse me, what my all-time favorite win is, I always point to the 1994 inaugural Brickyard 400. I was disappointed I didn't get to test there at the very first test. There was a group of guys that went, and I was pretty disappointed in that. And a kid that, I'm not from Indiana, but I grew up in Indiana, going to high school and racing all around Indiana, and I felt a real connection with the state of Indiana and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was a dream of mine, racing over at IRP and racing at Bloomington and Winchester and all those places. It was a dream to race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And when I went to race a stock car, I thought those dreams were over. But in 1994, they more than came true, and it was the most incredible experience ever.
And was it just as emotional for you in your final win or your most recent win, let's say?
Well, everybody knows I'm a crybaby, man. I get pretty emotional on these things. It means a lot to me, and I don't know if I've ever felt as much emotion inside a race car in the celebration as I did that day. It was, like I said, it was more than a dream come true. I never expected to be able to race at Indianapolis. I always dreamed that I would and hoped that I would. I thought it'd be in an Indy car. But for it to happen in the very first ever stock car race, and really the only race other than the Indy 500, it was just a huge historical moment, I felt like, for the Speedway, for NASCAR, for motor racing in general. And I knew that whoever won that event was going to go down in history. I didn't think it was going to be me, but we had the race car that day to do it, and we had the luck on our side as well, because some other guys put up some great battles, but it was us that crossed the line, and even to this day, I still can't believe it.
And Tony Stewart, another home state favorite, as you won your first Allstate 400 of the Brickyard, I don't think there will ever be as great an emotional moment for a lot of people in the stands and that we're watching on television. I'm sure it was for you also.
Yeah, it really was. It's, like Jeff mentioned, I mean, there's always something about winning at Indianapolis, and it doesn't matter whether it's an Indy car or a stock car. The Speedway's got such a deep and rich history that just to have your name on a trophy that signifies that you won at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is, it's still the greatest day of my life. It's to have worked in Indianapolis and driven for so many different race teams and been up 16th in Georgetown so many times and wondered what it would be like just to be 100 yards inside the fence running almost 200 miles an hour or more, and to finally get that opportunity in '96 to run an IndyCar there at the Indy 500 plus win a Brickyard. It was just an awesome feeling to finally accomplish that goal.
Now, you are one of very few drivers who have driven in both the stock car portion and the Indy 500 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Might we see you back in an Indy car in the coming years?
I've learned to never say never, but it's looking a little less likely now that I'm a car owner in NASCAR. So it's something that every time May comes around, I mean, it just is a burning in the bottom of your stomach wanting to be there so bad. But you know, I don't know if it might be a chapter in my life that might have passed by now. But every year I still say I can get out there and do it. I know that I can do it if I get in those cars again. So I've learned to never say never, I guess.
Personally, one of the greatest things about you becoming a car owner was to get a new number, and it reflected number 14 and your association with A.J. Foyt. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it was really a cool moment. You know, you obviously go to NASCAR when you become a car owner and to look for your numbers. And we knew that we wanted to start with fresh numbers, a new start. And it didn't take very long. We started at 1 and worked our way through. And when we got to 14 and it was available, it was like, we're done looking. This is definitely the perfect number for us. Obviously, A.J. Foyt's been my all-time hero all my life. And to be able to somewhat represent him in the stock car side now as a car owner, and we've had such a great relationship over the years. I'm sure he's walking around the buffet right now picking up stuff off the tables to eat, but we've always had such a good relationship that it was nice to be able to get his number, and we had him down at the Daytona 500 with us, and it meant the world to me that AJ took the time out of his schedule to come down there and help us kick this thing off.
Jimmie Johnson, already a two-time winner of the Allstate 400 at the Brickyard, but you had a similar background as Rick Mears, that is off-road racing. When did you first realize that there was an Indianapolis Motor Speedway and that you may someday race there?
Well, excuse me, growing up, you know, racing motocross and even racing the off-road trucks like I did, you know, I knew that Indy was there, and it was a place that I really wanted to go to. A lot like Jeff, I just thought it would be in an Indy car, and the guys ahead of me, Rick Mears, Roger Mears, Robbie Gordon, you know, there are a lot of guys that came from the off-road trucks and went to Indy in an open-wheel car. I thought that was my path, but as I came up through the ranks in off-road truck racing, Chevrolet was pulling out of open-wheel, and it had expressed to me if I wanted a future in asphalt racing, I need to consider NASCAR and stock car racing. So my vision changed, and you know, my eyes were focused on Indy cars, and you know, it all changed, and I went to North Carolina and got into the stock car world. But it's been such a pleasure and an honor to race on the Speedway, to experience Victory Lane, to go out and kiss the bricks. And it's indescribable, the emotions that come with it, and I certainly hope that someday, before I hang up my helmet, I have a chance to be out there in an Indy car and live that moment myself.
Well, now that was going to be my next question. That is great news to hear that you might someday come and run the Indy 500. You're really serious about that, huh?
Well, it's on my wish list. I'd love to race at Monaco, and something would be an amazing thing to do as well. I want to race at 24 Hours of Le Mans. You know, there are some big races out there that I think any race driver would look at and say, you know, I want to compete in that. If there's a real chance for me to race at Indy, I don't know. I'm not really sure. It's you know, awfully tough to do the two schedules. I asked Tony about it a while back, and he looked at me and said, it's a great experience, but you're crazy to try to do both. So I don't know if the opportunity will ever come, but it's on my wish list, and I would love to experience it someday.
Jimmie Johnson, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, again, thank you so much for being with us tonight as we begin the celebration of 100 years at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We wish you continued good luck here at the Speedway and in Las Vegas this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Really nice of those guys to